This week, we explore the idea that hookups don't just happen because of sexual desire. They often happen because environments quietly can shape what feels normal. Welcome back to the Your Love Class Book Club. I'm Professor S, and right now we're reading Chapter 3 in American Hookup. It's called Sex and Drunkworld. So grab your copy and let's jump in. This is one of the most concrete chapters in the book. Wade takes us inside the actual environments where hookups are most likely to occur or initiate, including parties, Greek life, bars, and campus spaces organized around drinking. And she shows us how those spaces shape behavior in powerful ways. This chapter isn't about personal choices in isolation. It's about how physical and social environments can quietly steer choices. Wade opens a chapter with two students, Mara and Naomi, whose experiences immediately show us something important. Even students with similar backgrounds, lifelong friendship, similar values and intentions can experience hookup culture very differently, depending on how deeply they are embedded in the place and space Wade calls Drunkworld, or the party scene on college campuses. One of the first things she introduces here is that Drunkworld isn't just a party or a term to throw around. It actually is a social system with its own kind of rules. It's a temporary reality created by collective drinking, shared expectations, and physical proximity. In Drunkworld, normal social expectations change. Risks feel lower, boundaries feel blurrier, and sex becomes more likely often. And it's not always because everyone actively happens to want it exactly in that moment, but because that environment can make it feel expected. This is a key move in the chapter. Drunkworld becomes defined as a collective space where inhibition is lowered, but so is accountability. In her research, Wade shares that students repeatedly describe drinking as a way to explain, excuse, or reinterpret their actions. It becomes easier for them to say, I was drunk, than actually think about what they wanted in that moment. Importantly, Wade doesn't argue that students are reckless or unaware. Many of the students she interviews are thoughtful, reflective, intentional, and deeply intelligent as they assess their lives and record their experiences. What changes in Drunkworld is the context, not these students' intelligence. Another major focus of this chapter is access. Wade talks about Drunkworld and how it's not equally available to everyone. Greek life in particular plays a central role in controlling party spaces, alcohol access, and who gets invited where on campuses where it exists. That means certain groups, especially first-year students and women, often have less control over the conditions under which drinking and hookups occur. This matters because when access is uneven, power is uneven. Students who control party spaces also shape the norms of those spaces. That means they get to dictate who feels welcome, what behavior is rewarded, what the norms of interaction are, and also what those events look like. Wade also places today's party culture in historical context, which I love. This is one of the most surprising parts of the chapter for my students. She shows that college was not always fun as we think of it today. For much of history, campuses were tightly controlled environments with strict rules, surveillance, and little social freedom. That's in a stark contrast to the campuses students experience today. Today, we have a party-centered image of college life, and it's relatively recent. It's been heavily shaped by pop culture, media, and institutional marketing. Colleges themselves have quietly benefited from this as students feel it's going to be so much more exciting to finally be on campus. But presenting college as a place of freedom, excitement, and fun might help attract students, but it also can create pressure, confusion, and sometimes even risk once students arrive. One of the most important insights in this chapter is that Drunkworld doesn't just influence sex, it structures social life. Students talk about parties and going out as the main place to meet people, feel connected, and avoid feeling lonely. If you opt out of drinking in your social worlds in Drunkworld, you don't just miss the parties, you're missing social belonging, she argues. And that's why she's careful to say, Many students don't necessarily love everything about hookup culture, but they participate anyway because Drunkworld is where social life happens. This helps explain why some hookups can feel inevitable rather than intentional. Wade introduces the idea of happenstance, this sense that sex just sort of happens. But she shows that what feels accidental is often due to the repeated exposure to the same environments, pressures, and expectations. So, if you are thinking about one key takeaway from chapter 3, I think it's this. When sex is embedded in Drunkworld, it becomes harder to separate your actual desire from the circumstance. That doesn't mean students lack agency. It means agency operates within structures, and those structures matter. The reason this chapter is so valuable isn't that your campus looks exactly like the ones Wade described from 10 years ago. It's that she gives us a way to analyze environments. You most likely still have a social life. So the skill is learning to ask, where does your social life happen? Who controls those spaces? And what behaviors are expected there? Are there any options that feel invisible or unavailable when you're in those spaces? And if so, what are those? Once you can see Drunkworld as a system, you can learn how you want to participate in it or if you want to participate in it at all. There's no right or wrong answer, but understanding how space and place can impact actions is a skill that will help you for the rest of your life. So here's the question I want to leave y'all with this week. Where does connection happen in your campus or social world? And who sets the terms for it? Help paint an updated picture so we can understand your current social worlds. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next chapter. We will be looking at who opts out of hookup culture. And thanks again for reading along. I know a lot's changed, but I hope you're still learning from this.